Hello developers, welcome back to our channel. My name is Harish Kumar. Today we are going to create a real-time chat application using Laravel Reverb and Vue.js. Let me show you a demo what we are going to build. So here we have created this Laravel 11 app, and let's go to the dashboard. In the dashboard here we have displayed the list of users, and on click this user it navigates to the chat page. And in this chat page we can chat with this user. To see this, let's open the incognito window. Let's open this side by side, and let's open this app in this incognito mode. Login. Let's go to dashboard to log in our user. Let's see this one. Enter password. We logged in. Now let's open this Harish user, and from here this user. Now let's chat with this. Say hi. Immediately on real time we receive the message hi in the receiver end. Similarly from here also, hello, how are you? On real time we get the message on the other user. Let's type I am good, how are you? And here we receive the real time messages without page refresh. And you can also notice that when a user type in this input field, on the other side it shows the user Harish is typing. When I stop typing, it is removed from here. Similarly from this user side also, if I type here, it shows this user is typing. Without wasting more time, let's start building this real-time chat app. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Now let's get started. Now let's start by creating a fresh Laravel application. So in the terminal, let's run Laravel new and then the application name. Let's say our application name is Laravel Reverb Chat, and press enter to run this. And now it is going to install fresh Laravel 11 app. It is done. Cd Laravel Reverb Chat, and let's initialize git. So git init, git add, git commit, let's say initial, and also let's run valet link. It will create a Laravel Reverb Chat.test URL for us. So in the browser, let's open this Laravel-reverb-chat.test. And here we go, we have a fresh Laravel application. Now to add a quick login and register feature, I'm going to use Laravel-Themer Package. It is entirely optional. You can use other packages as well, for example Laravel Breeze. So now let's install this. So let's scroll down. We need to run this composer require in the terminal. So here in the terminal, let's run this. It's done. Next we need to publish the configuration file. So copy this and run this in the terminal. Next we need to create a theme. So let's run this php artisan make theme command. So php artisan make theme. Now here we need to give the name of our theme. Let's say our theme name is Tailwind, and here I am going to use Tailwind. So press 1. I want to use Vue 3. So press 0, and I want controller and view, so press 1. Next we need to add these two lines in the script section of package.json. So first let's open this in the VS Code editor, and now let's open the package.json. Here we have this script section, and in this script section we need to add these two lines. Let's copy this and paste it right here. It's done. Next we need to run npm install. Npm install, it is going to install all the node package dependencies. It's done. Next we need to run npm run dev tailwind, this script command. First I forgot to mention that the themer package has created a themes directory in the project's root directory, and in this themes directory it has created the Tailwind theme. in this Tailwind theme, we have Tailwind configuration and Vue configurations dedicated to this Tailwind theme. And we need to mention this Tailwind theme in the config themes configuration. In this theme configuration, here we have option active. Here we need to add the active theme, and it is Tailwind. Now let's close this, and finally let's run this dev Tailwind script command. So in the terminal, let's run npm run dev :tailwind. Is done. Now let's see this URL in the browser, refresh, and here we have link for login and register. Here we can register account, and here we can log in to our existing account. Before that, let's make sure our database configuration in the .env file. So let's open the .env file. If we scroll down, here it is using database connection SQLite, and let's run the migration also. So let's open the terminal, and here let's run php artisan migrate, and nothing to migrate. Actually, it has automatically run the migrations when we have created the fresh Laravel application. So let's close this, and let's see the database, and here we have all the migrations, and this is the users table. So now in the browser, let's register a new user. So let's click this register button, and here name is Harish at example.com, password, confirm password, and register. Great, we have successfully registered. Let's test the login feature also. Harish at example.com and password. It is working. Great. Now let's commit all the changes. So git add, git commit, setup Laravel-Themer is done. Our next step is to display all the users in this dashboard, and on click the user, it will navigate to the chat URL where we can chat with the user. So let's implement this. So in the editor, let's close this, and let's navigate to themes, Tailwind, views, and here we have this dashboard blade.php, and here we want to display a list of users. So first let's create some dummy users. So in the terminal, let's open Tinker, and here I'll say user factory, and let's create 6 users, and it has created 6 users for us. Exit. Now here I will leverage the power of Spec Coder AI to generate a quick UI to display a list of users using Tailwind CSS. So here I'll say write UI to show list of users in Tailwind CSS. Press enter. Here we go. It has automatically created a markup for us. Not only that, it has detected that it is a blade file and added the for each loop using blade and displayed the list of users. How cool is that? It has saved a lot of time. Let's remove this and let's see this in the browser. So refresh, undefined variable users. Of course, we will get these errors because we need to pass these users in this dashboard. So let's open the routes web.php. Right here we have dashboard route. Now here we will pass a user. So let's say comma and initialize the array, and here I'll say users, user model, and get. Here I want to fetch all the user except current logged in user. So here I will also add a where condition, where not id auth id, like this. Here it will fetch all the user except logged in user. So let's see this in the browser and refresh. We get another error, Vite manifest not found. We forgot to run the development server. So in the terminal, let's run npm run dev and our theme name Tailwind. Let's go back to browser, refresh, and here we have list of users, and the Spec Coder AI has created a beautiful markup. it has saved a lot of time by adding the HTML markup and Tailwind classes automatically. Now our next job is to create a chat page, and on click this user it will navigate to the chat page where we can chat with this user. So let's create this in the web route.php. Here let's create a new route. So here let's say route get, and here we go. The Spec Coder has auto completed the code exactly what we need. How cool is that? Let's accept this. I want a little bit change here. Instead of user, let's say it is a friend, and right here also user friend, and here also pass friend. Next we need to create this chat blade file. So let's create this. So in the themes, tailwind, views, right here let's create a file chat.blade.php, and I'm going to copy this dashboard blade markup and paste it in the chat blade file right here, and I'm going to remove this UI of users. It is done. Let's here print $friend name. Now let's go to browser, so refresh, and here we also need to add an anchor link to navigate to chat page. So let's add this. So in the dashboard blade.php, here is the user. Let's add link right here. So and here let's add route, and our route name is chat. In the next parameter I will pass user. Is done. Now let's go to browser, refresh, and on click this user is navigated to chat page, and this is the friend ID. Let's see other users. Great. Now here I want to display a chat UI. So in the chat.blade.php, I want to add chat UI in the Vue.js. So let's create a Vue component. So in the themes, tailwinds, JS, in the components, here we have example component. Let's rename this to chat component, and in the app.js, let's scroll down. Here it has imported the example component. Let's rename to chat component and update this. It is done. Now we can use this chat component tag right here in the chatblade.php. So let's add this. Now let's see this in the browser, and here it has rendered the chat component. To verify this, it is coming from chat component. Let's remove this, and here let's say chat component is back to browser, and here it is immediately changed chat component. Great. Next, let's change this dashboard with the username. So in the chat.blade.php, right here let's remove this dashboard, and here I'll say $friend name like this, and it has displayed the friend name. Now in the chat component right here we need a simple UI for chat. So let's ask a Spec Coder AI to create a simple chat markup. So let's remove this, and here I'll say create simple chat UI markup in Tailwind CSS, and press Ctrl Shift Enter, and here we go. It has created a complete UI for us, and here you can also notice that it has detected that it is a Vue file and created a complete code according to Vue component. Let's remove this comment first. It has also added some dynamic features which I did not expected that it is going to add. I was thinking it will only add HTML markup, but it has added dynamic things also. We will see this in a moment. All these are working or not. First let's review all these codes, what it is doing. First, it has displayed all these messages. If a message is me, then it is going to display this chat message, and here I can notice the background color is blue. Otherwise it is going to display this chat message where background color is BG Gray 200. Next we have this input field where we can send message. On press enter, and this is the button where it will send message on click. and in the script section it is using option API. Instead I prefer to use composition API. We will change all of these in a moment. And here we have these messages that it has displayed right here. Next, this is the new message which is linked to this input field. And here we have this send message method, which basically does, it pushes this object into the messages right here. So far so good. Let's see this in the browser how it looks. Here is the chat UI and it is looking very nice. And let's test this input box also if it is working. So test, and great, it is working. I did not expected that Spec Coder will generate this entire markup with dynamic code also. It did a really great job. Now I'm not a fan of option API, so instead of this I want to use composition API. So here what I'm going to do, let's select all this script section, and here it has also added this style. I do not need this, so let's remove it. Now let's select this entire script section and then press Ctrl Shift Q. Here is this entire selected code. Now here I am going to ask convert this to Vue 3 composition API. Press enter. And here we go, it has converted this to composition API. Let's copy this. Let's replace it here. Let's review this. So first imported the ref from the view. This is the messages and this is the new message. And here we have this send message function. So far so good. Let's test this if everything is working. Refresh, test. Great, it is working. Spec Coder has saved our lot of time. Our next job is to create functionality to send and receive messages. So first let's create a chat messages model. So in the terminal, so here I'm going to run php artisan make model chat message. I want migration file also, so here I'll pass flag -m and press enter, and it has created this chat message model, and this is the migration. Let's open this. So in the database migrations, here is the chat messages table migration, table for an ID, let's say receiver ID, and let's say sender ID, and next we need table string text. Here it is going to store the chat messages. Instead of string, let's say it is a text, so it can store the long messages also. It is done. Next let's run the migration. So php artisan migrate. Okay, it's done. Now let's navigate to chat messages model, app models chat messages. Now here in this chat messages we need to create a relationship sender user and receiver user. So here, and you can also notice that it has automatically created a fillable. Let's accept this, but we do not have these columns in the table, so let's remove it. And here we have sender ID, comma, and again it has auto completed receiver ID and messages. We do not have this message, instead we have column name text. Great. Next we need to create a relationship. It has automatically suggested the relationship methods sender and receiver, exactly what we need. Let's accept this. I think the AI has read this sender ID and receiver ID, so it has automatically suggested these sender and receiver relationship methods. How cool is that? It is really saving a lot of time. Our chat message is done. Now let's close this. Next, let's fetch all the chat messages and display it right here. So first let's create few entries in the chat messages table. So let's go to database, and here is the chat messages table, and here I want to add, let's say receiver ID is 1 and sender ID is 2, and let's say message is hello. Next let's add new row. Now this time here receiver ID is 2 and sender ID is 1 and message is hello, how are you is done. Let's commit this. Now in the editor, let's create a route to fetch all the messages. So in the web.php route, here let's create a route get messages, and it is going to fetch messages of friend. Then let's add function and make sure to apply the auth middleware also. And here it has auto completed the code to return view, but here we will return a JSON data because we want to fetch all the messages in the chat component right here. So here let's return the chat messages and let's query. So next here we need to add a where condition. Again it has suggested the auto completed code, but we do not want that. Instead here add where, and in this where function we want to pass a callback function, and in this function it is going to accept query and use. In this use we need to pass this friend. So first let's accept user $friend and pass this friend right here. Next here I'll say query where sender ID is auth ID and where receiver ID is friend ID. It is done. Next let's duplicate this, and here I'll say or where now the sender ID is going to be friend ID and the receiver ID is auth ID, like this. So the condition is that fetch the chat messages where sender ID is auth ID and receiver ID is friend ID, or where the sender ID is friend ID and receiver ID is auth ID. Next we want to load the sender and receiver. So here I'll say with, and it has auto completed sender and receiver. Great. Next here I want order by ID ascending order, and then let's call get and get all these. So let's see the query once again. So here we want to fetch all the chat messages where the sender ID is auth ID and receiver ID is friend ID, or where sender ID is friend ID and receiver ID is auth ID. And then we loaded the sender and receiver ascending order by ID and get all messages. Now let's load all messages in the chat component. We will fetch all the messages in the when component is mounted. So right here we will call on mount, and then it is going to accept a callback function, and in this callback function we are going to use Axios, which is already installed with this Themer package, and it has auto completed this code. Let's accept this, but here the URL is different. Let's see, the URL is messages and then friend ID. So here we need /messages, and then here we need to pass friend ID. Now here how we can get this friend ID? We can use props to pass friend ID in the chat component. So in the chat.blade.php, right here we have chat component, and here we will pass friend, and it is going to be $friend, and also let's pass current user is auth user, and here the props should not be in camel case, it should be separated by dash like this. Let's save this. Now we need to accept these props in the chat component. So right here we are going to call const props is equal to define props, and it has object, and in this object we have friend, and its type is object, and it is required. Next let's duplicate this, and here it is current user. Now let's see this in the browser if props are correctly passed to this component. So in the browser, refresh. Let's open the inspect tool and let's navigate to view tab. We have this chat component. In the chat component, we have prop, current user and friend. The props are passed correctly. Great. Next, in the on mount, let's pass friend ID right here. So dollar curly braces. Here we will pass props.friend.id. Great, it has auto completed for us. And then we get the response, and the response data is going to be stored in the message value right here. So initially it is going to be empty array. Now in the browser, let's refresh this. It is reloaded, but we cannot see the messages. Let's see the inspect tool. And in the console, there is no error. Let's see the view tab tool, chat component, and here we have messages, which is empty array. So let's console log this response data. Now refresh. Here we get the empty array, and of course we will get empty array because this chat page is for user ID 3. But if we see this table, we have chat messages between user ID 1 and 2. So let's go to dashboard and see this chat message for user ID 2, and here we go, it has loaded these chat messages. But here one of these messages should be in blue color. Both are gray. Let's see in the code. So let's scroll up. Here is the condition. It is going to show background blue if the message dot is me true. But in the messages object, we do not have this attribute. So how we can implement this feature? So here, instead of this message dot is me, here I'll check if message dot sender ID is equal to current user dot ID. Now let's go back to browser and see, and here we go. Now is blue. Great. Now let's implement the feature to send message also. So first let's create a route to store messages in the table. So here let's create a post route, and the URL path is going to be messages, and here it is going to be friend ID, and then it is going to accept function, and this function let's type int user $friend. Next, here in this route we are going to store the message into the database. So here we will say $message is equal to chat message create, and it has automatically suggested the complete code for us. Let's accept this. Here we are going to make little bit changes. Instead of this request input body, here I'll pass request input message, and then let's return this message. Is done. Now let's implement this in the chat component. Here we have send message function. Let's remove this code, and here I'll say axios dot post and pass, and immediately it has auto completed the code. Let's accept this, remove this API, and in the next parameter we are going to pass the payload data, and the payload data is message, the new message dot value, and then it is going to get the response, and here we will say messages dot value dot push response dot data. After that we need to clear this new message value. So here, and the Spec Coder had auto completed it for us. Let's accept this and save, and it is done. Now let's test this. So refresh, let's say test and press enter. It did not work. Let's open the inspect tool, console, and here we have 500 error, and the error is not null constraint failed chat messages dot text. Let's see in the web.php route, the error is right here. Instead of body, here it should be text. Now let's try again. So close this, refresh, let's say test and press enter. Great, it worked. Now let's log in this user in the another browser. So let's open the incognito window, and here let's open this URL. Here we need to enter the email address of user. So let's copy this email address and paste it here and enter password. Now we are logged in. Let's open this user Harish. Here it has loaded the chat messages. Let's open side by side. Here this user. So from here if I type hi, it is here. Now in the another browser, to see the user message we need to refresh, and here we receive the message hi. Now the basic chat functionality is ready. It is time to implement Laravel Reverb for real-time chat. So if we see the Laravel Reverb documentation and scroll down, now to install the Laravel Reverb we need to run PHP artisan install broadcasting in the Laravel 11 application to install Reverb. So let's see this. So in the editor, let's open the terminal, and here we will run PHP artisan install broadcasting. But before running this command, let's commit all these changes so we can see the changes made by this command in the Laravel application. So let's say git add and git commit, and commit message, let's say work in progress real time chat is done. Now let's close all of these, and here let's run PHP artisan install broadcasting, this command, and press enter. And here is asking us to, would you like to install Laravel Reverb? Yes, I want Laravel Reverb, and it is installing the Laravel Reverb. In case if you do not want to use Laravel Reverb, you can use Laravel WebSocket package also. I have already created a dedicated video on this. It is one of the most popular video in my channel. Reverb installed successfully. And the next question is, would you like to install and build the node dependencies required for broadcasting? Yes, and press enter. Great, it is done. Now let's see the changes it has made. First, in the composer.json, it has installed this Laravel Reverb, and in the package.json, it has installed this Laravel Echo and Pusher.js. Next, in the bootstrap app.php, it has added this channel route. Next, it has added the broadcasting.php configuration file. In this broadcasting configuration, we have this connection reverb. And next, it has also added this reverb configuration file. Let's see. It has default server reverb, and this reverb is this one. And it has option host, port, host name, options, max request, and so on. It has fetched all these values from the env file, and if we see the .env file, scroll down, Laravel has automatically added these reverb app id, app key, secret key, host, and port, all these options in the .env file automatically. And all these values are fetched in the reverb configurations. And next file is the bootstrap.js in the resources.js, and in the bootstrap.js it has added this line import echo, and next it has added this echo.js in the resource.js. Let's see this echo.js also. It has imported the echo from the Laravel Echo, and then pusher from the pusher.js, and these are the configuration for the Laravel Echo, and all these options are fetched from the .env file from here. And next, it has created this channels.php in the routes directory. Let's see, it has one demo broadcast route. Here this PHP artisan install broadcasting command has done all the required configurations automatically. We do not need any more configuration. We just need to broadcast the event. But first, because here we are using Laravel-Themer Package, So here we need one change, and that is Laravel has created the echo.js in the resources.js directory, but here we are using theme Tailwind, so we need to move this echo.js from the resources.js to themes Tailwind.js right here. So let's cut this from here and paste it here. It's done. And now in the bootstrap.js right here, let's remove all of these commented code, and from the resources.js bootstrap.js, and in the bootstrap.js it has automatically updated this path. First let's remove this, and in the themes tailwind bootstrap.js right here, paste it here like this, and next we need to import echo. And this is the two changes we need, and we are ready to use Laravel Reverb. Now let's close all of these. Next let's open the web.php route. Right here in this route, after saving this message in the database, we need to broadcast this message. So for that, first let's create a MessageSent event. So in the terminal here, let's run php artisan make event, and let's say event name is MessageSent, and press enter, and it has created this app events MessageSent.php. Let's open this. So in the app events MessageSent.php right here, very first thing here we need to implement should broadcast now. Let's save this, and then here we will say public chat message $message. Next right here in this on broadcast method we need to return a private channel, and here we need to pass the channel name. Let's say channel name is chat dot, and then in curly braces $this message receiver underscore id, like this. So here the message should be broadcast to the message receiver user. Next we need to create this chat route. So in the routes channel.php, here we will create this chat route. So here let's duplicate this. Actually here we need the exactly same route, so here it is going to be chat. So this chat and the id, this id, and this user is the current logged in user. If the current logged in user id is equal to this receiver id, then it is going to authenticate it and the private message will be received. Now in the web.php, here we need to broadcast this MessageSent event. So here we will say broadcast and then pass new message sent and $message, this message, and make sure to import these classes right here. It is done. Next in the chat component right here, we need to receive this broadcasted message using Laravel Echo. So here in the onMount method, here we will say echo.private, because if we see the MessageSent event, this is the private channel. So here we need to call echo.private and then the channel name, and that is chat, and then here we need to pass the receiver id, and in our case in the chat component it is going to be current logged in user. So here we will say props.currentuser.id. In the MessageSent event we broadcasted this message to the receiver, and in the chat component the receiver is the current logged in user. So here we will pass chat.props.currentuser.id, and here we will listen for .listen this event name MessageSent, and it is going to accept a callback function, and this callback function going to accept the response, and this response has response.message. So here we can say messages.value.push response.message. This is all we need. Now real-time chat is ready. So first in the terminal we need to run php artisan reverb start. The reverb is started and it is running on this port. Let's close this, and now in the browser, now refresh. Here in this chat, let's pass hello. Immediately you can see the second user has received the message on real time. And here also let's test. Immediately we get the response test here. How cool is that? Let's say how are you doing, and we immediately get the message, but it did not scroll. So our next step is to scroll it to bottom when we receive a new message. So let's see how we can implement this. So in the chat component, we need to watch this message. So whenever new message is received, so we are going to scroll this message container. So first let's give a name ref. Let's name it messages container, and now let's scroll down. Right here I'll say const message container is equal to ref null. Next we need to watch these messages. So here I'll say watch messages, comma, then it is going to accept a callback function. Because this messages is a array, so here we need to pass a third option also, which is going to be deep true. Next in this callback function, we are going to implement that whenever this message value changes, it should scroll this message container div. So here I'll say message container dot value dot scroll to, and then we pass a option. Top is message container dot value dot scroll height, and then behavior smooth. Great. And to be safe, it should be moved into the next tick. Is done. Now let's go to browser, refresh, and immediately it is scrolled to bottom when the messages are loaded. Now let's say here I am good, how are you? Great. It is working perfectly. Next thing, here I also want to show that a user is typing. So let's implement this. So in the editor, very first thing right here, we need a variable const is friend typing. By default it is going to be ref false, and then right here after this div, let's add a small tag, and it should be visible if user is typing. And let's add class text gray 700, and in this small tag let's display friend.name is typing. Great, exactly what we want. Here remove this extra curly braces. Next, on type, in this input field we want to send a typing event. So here I'll say at key down send typing event. Now let's create this function. So let's scroll down. Right here before this onMounted function, const send typing event is equal to arrow function, and here we will say echo dot private, and we need to pass this channel name, but we are going to send the typing event to the friend. So instead of current user, it is going to be friend.id. So we are sending the typing event to the friend. Next, here we will say dot whisper, the event name, it is typing, and here we want to pass data user id props dot current user id. Now we need to listen for this whisper. So right here the current user is going to listen for whispers. So right here we will say dot listen for whisper, and the event name is typing, and it is going to receive a callback function, and this callback function has a response. And now here we will say is friend typing dot value is equal to response dot user id. This user id is equal to props dot friend dot id. This is done. Now let's see this in the browser. So here let's type anything. Immediately we get here the user is typing, but it is stuck. We need to hide this after few seconds. So here we will say set timeout. After 1000 milliseconds we will say this friend is typing value is false. Now let's see. So here Harish is typing, and after 1 second it is removed from here. Let's keep typing. Now here it is showing a flicker. So right here let's create another variable. Const is friend typing timer is equal to ref null, and then right here we will say if the typing timer dot value, if this value exists, then clear this. So clear timeout is friend typing timer dot value. And next we'll assign this set timeout value to is friend typing timer dot value like this. Now let's test this if it is working. So in the browser let's type it here. Now Harish is typing. As I stop typing, immediately it is removed from the here. Similarly from this side also, the user is typing. I stop typing, it is removed from here. Now here there is a little gap, so let's fix this. So let's scroll up, and here we have padding 4. Let's remove this. Now let's see how it looks. Now it is looking nice. It is done. This is all in this video about real-time chat app using Laravel Reverb and Vue.js. If you have any questions or feedback, drop in the comment section. I will try to answer everyone's question. And if you like the video, hit the like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. Happy coding.